The leaders of the colony agreed to meet. On the one side, Venjo and the Folktales. On the other, Ridgemayar and the Iron Teeth. The mood was tense, but Venjo broke the silence. I am Venjo of the Folktales. What are the terms of your surrender? He shouted. Ridgemayar answered without delay. I am Ridgemayar of the Iron Teeth. What are the terms of your surrender? You've seen our colony. You know that we outnumber you, that we are strong. But we are Iron Teeth, Ridgemayar countered. We are born for this. We will not be defeated. Well, we will not be defeated either, Venjo shouted back. And they continued shouting for a while, but eventually they all decided to go home. Now that the Iron Teeth had successfully navigated a drought, thanks to Ridgemayar's dam, they turned their attention to industry, because right now, one strong beaver had to manually turn a power wheel just to make planks. And the beavers were ready to change that and take advantage of hydropower. It was a big challenge to take on, but it was an important step in advancing their colony. The beavers also plotted a second campfire, so more of them could be part of their planning sessions against the Folktales. There was no time to bother with the Folktales now, though. A strong beaver named Rozzy was working the power wheel so the beavers could make planks, which allowed them to build stairs down to the riverbed, and from there they plotted where the water wheels would go. And the second campfire went up quickly, which increased happiness in the family. The beavers began construction on the water wheel, which meant swimming logs out into the river. On the plus side, the beavers really liked getting their fur wet, so they didn't really mind the swim. Also, the crops were doing well, the tree farm was producing, and the Iron Teeth were laying a good foundation for the next generation of, breeding pod beavers. Yes, the Folktales had made threats, but the Iron Teeth had already responded to their raid, so for now they were focused on themselves. And with the water wheel built, it was time to hook up the power. They needed to use high power shafts, which required gears, so they got to work constructing a gear workshop. And they had their first injury, so they made a medical bed and hoped everything would be better in the morning. And it was, because the gears were cranking, and Rozzy was chugging away, and the second water wheel was completed, and the power shafts were getting assembled. It might have been a slow start, but the beavers were about to have power for days. They plotted where the new lumber mill would go, and disassembled the old buildings. The river was going to give them all the power they needed. Soon the lumber mill was built and started cranking away while the beavers removed the rubble of the destroyed buildings. They began building a new gear workshop and even welcomed some new beavers into the family. It was true that the Folktale colony was larger and more developed than they were, but the Iron Teeth were determined to catch up quickly and beat their upriver rivals. Little did they know that that night the Folktales would make a crippling blow to the colony. The Iron Teeth awoke to find that the stairs outside their barracks, the single pathway for them to leave their homes, had been destroyed by the Folktales, leaving them stranded. Coincidentally, 2 water pumpers didn't have beds and had slept on the ground in town. And when they heard the shouts of their family, they came running and temporarily changed jobs so they could get the stairs rebuilt and free the rest of the family. They discovered the Folktales had also destroyed their new power shaft in the raid. And since there were beavers sleeping on the ground anyway, they decided to build another barracks to ensure the Folktales couldn't cut them off again. All in all, it was a day of distracted work, and the revenge planning around the campfires quickly kicked into high gear. How would the Iron Teeth get back at the Folktales this time? But to everyone's surprise, the Iron Teeth leader Ridgemayar rejected the calls for an immediate counterstrike. He said they needed to focus on the work at home, like constructing their new barracks to avoid falling victim again, and rebuilding the power shaft and getting their industry going again, including the brand new fermenter, which cooked their cassavas into edible food. Sure, revenge would be fun, but Ridgemayar wanted to retaliate from a position of strength and not sacrifice their progress on impulsive raids. And this turned out to be great leadership by Ridgemayar, because a drought was coming. The beavers decided to build a sort of redundancy network to their power shaft system, just in case the Folktales tried to disable them again. The Iron Teeth did what they could to prepare for the drought, under Ridgemayar's wise direction. On the plus side, the tree farm was sprouting up, including some massive oaks, and new babies were continuing to pop out of the odd and kind of gross breeding pods. And then in the morning, as the beavers rushed off to work, the river began to dry up, and all the ground and trees began turning brown. Ridgemayar's dam pooled the water and kept their land green, but the lack of water flow brought their industry to a total standstill. But these beavers were in a good position to wait out the dry season. Some of their farmland had unfortunately turned brown, but they had a huge supply of trees to chop down. And with the water no longer overflowing, they were even able to harvest more trees from the opposite riverbank. They had so many logs that they even needed to expand their storage. They were well stocked on food and supplies. They even welcomed new baby beavers into the family. And as more beavers grew to working age, Ridgemayar plotted a third farmhouse to utilize the available land. The Iron Teeth were tackling this dry season very well. But they couldn't know that the Folktales were making a move once again. And in the morning, the stairs were gone. Again. And not just the stairs by the barracks. The Folktales had destroyed every single set of stairs in the entire colony. They even somehow removed the natural ramps. Like, how did they do that? But since the Iron Teeth had built a ground-level barracks, they had workers on hand to quickly clear away the rubble and rebuild the stairs so everyone could get back to work. 2 raids in a row. That meant the Folktales were taking this feud pretty seriously, and it made the Iron Teeth wonder, was Ridgemayar taking it seriously? Iron Teeth beavers are always willing to follow the leader of their family, but they're also not above ousting the leader by force if that's what it takes to preserve the family's pride. Ridgemayar asked the beavers to just wait until the drought was over, and they reluctantly agreed to give him that time. But no more. The missing stairs to the dam gave the beavers an interesting idea. They had spotted the Folktales dam design during their last raid and decided to try it here, but by building it on top of the current dam and continuing the dam to the mountain wall. It would be a big job, but they had the logs, and now was the time to start it, before the river flooded everything again. And so the Iron Teeth celebrated their advances in industry, their expanding farmlands, their growing family, and the beginning of a new and better dam, and enthusiastically waited for their opportunity to get revenge on the Folktales, because the next day, the waters returned. And this chapter has been all about the Iron Teeth. But what had those Folktales been up to? Well, mostly they kept up their farming and their building, and Venjo kept pushing them to expand and grow with new ideas. They built some massive new warehouses, they started a new tree farm across the river, they added new water pumps and more water storage. And, of course, they had planned out and executed 2 raids against the Iron Teeth to really put them in their place. Overall, the Folktales were doing very well. You might even say they were overconfident, thinking they had mastered the land and that the Iron Teeth were no threat to them. They were so confident, in fact, that Venjo had them begin work on their largest project yet, a monumental testament to their power and superiority, and exactly the sort of thing the Iron Teeth might target as they prepared their counterattack. Be careful, Venjo. Confidence may be your downfall. Hey everyone, Lieutenant Dan here. Thanks for watching this episode of Beaver Tales. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you'd like to see more, definitely let me know in the comments. And be sure to check out the other fun stuff happening here at Lieutenant Dan Productions. You guys have a fantastic day.